What's going on, family? This is episode 39 of the Pharaohs Podcast. I'm your host, Solomon. I am joined, well, this week he back in the building. We got Mr. What's Good himself, Israel.
What's good? Glad to be back. We gonna get it talking, get it rocking.
And we got a doctor in the house because we got Luke in the building.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
Fellas, what's going on? How y'all week been?
Mine been good, bro. Another day in the land of the living, you heard? So we doing wonderful over here. What about you,
Man,
Israel? You been MIA. What's up? What's been up
man,
with you, man?
it's been a busy week, busy weekend. Um, Went up there to Chicago for my grandma's surprise 80th birthday party. You know, it's a blessing when you get your elders to get up there in age. 80 good years, a long life and good health, and a lot of nuts along the way. You got nutty people. But got to see the family. Family I ain't seen in a minute. Then got to go to a out after hours party with my cousins and my brother. One of my brothers went to go hang out. It was one of them nights where it's like 3, 4 a.m. nights. And then went to a memorial service and then got on a plane and headed back to the A. But yeah, and then work on Monday morning. So that's how that went. Excuse me. How your weekend been? Solomon.
Man, I've been grinding. I've been at work just for like hours. That's it. I ain't been doing nothing else. I'm on a mission right now. I'm on a mission, and when I complete this mission,
Mm.
I'm gonna go up to Chicago and I'm gonna shout on Luke and all the prophets up there and be like, "Thank you, Lord."
Thank you, Black Jesus. Yes, Lord. I know that's right. Nothing like blessings on blessings on blessings.
I'm up here thinking about like
Mm.
how so much controversy and adversity can really strengthen us as people and individuals. And this is I'm going through a major test this year. Well, a little bit of this last year and this year. Time is an illusion. So it's just this big old arcing,
Time is an illusion.
this big old arcing time period that I'm in. It's like I don't know. It's getting me ready for something. I was upset about certain things, and then like now when new things and new problems happen, it's like, well, I can't be down and sad about it no more. It's like it's toughening me, I guess, for something bigger that I must be getting ready to receive in the future. So yeah, it's a lot going on.
Be
He
like
said,
that.
the Lord saved me and I'm glad about it. Yes, Lord.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
y'all, today is a holiday. Today is one of the. I want the Coptic Nation to come chime in, step on in, and talk to us this episode because today is a great day. And we
Oh,
had to
yeah.
start a little bit early. That's why we had to start an hour early today because today is the Founders Day of the Coptic faith up there in Chicago.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes. It's a good day to be great. Good day
So
for the nation.
it's a wonderful day for the nation. Because without this man right here, none of us would be here, be able to talk about some stuff. You know what I'm saying? This great prophet that was in the land many years ago.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know people ain't think I had no pictures, but I got a picture right here.
Let me
So
switch
fellas,
this
just a
up.
little bit of talk about a little bit of Prophet Cicero, King Melchizedek.
Absolutely, yeah. We got to go in.
Give me 1 second.
Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's something about a man when he got a plan, and that's exactly
what the prophet Cicero had, and it's like when I feel like from my thoughts on the subject, and uh, it's like when you got a good leader, right? People follow people who they respect and who they can trust, they like, and all these other different attributes. But when you got a man that's on a mission and that's on that has a plan, he can't be stopped. And the only way he's gonna be stopped is by the people that's holding him down. And a man is only as good as the things that hold him down. But I believe just from the history standpoint of like him coming to Chicago and stopping by here when it wasn't supposed to be here, but stopped by Chicago and stayed for a while. And it made it bigger as the years kind of went on. And it's a lot of history, a lot of things we could talk about with this, just from Prophet Cicero and the first Coptic church in America, the prayer house, to my knowledge, you know.
Yeah. You going
But
in.
I think it's a lot of history or hearsay or stories that I heard from even from like when they had the prayer house down over I believe it was over on King Drive, or was it down on King Drive, Solomon?
Yeah.
Okay, down in that area. No,
It was
let me
on,
see.
I think, Cottage.
The address is uncertain at this point in time. If
No, it
only
was
we
on
had more
Cottage. It was
more
on Cottage.
Coptic
No, I
people
thought I
to come
wrote
on
I thought I wrote this in this book. Hold up.
somewhere. But it's like one thing that a leader.
4724 Cottage Grove,
There we
Chicago,
go. Cottage
Illinois.
Grove. Cottage Grove is right over there. Where for those of you, wait a minute, 47 what? 20.
24.
Okay. Cottage Grove. Uh, this is giving me everything. Okay, cool. For those of you that are familiar with the area, it's right over there where the Walmart is. Over there, the neighborhood Walmart. So, like, I wish I would have been there, or they were big in pictures back then, because from what my understanding is of hearing it from my father, the high priest Samuel, it was like when you came up in there, you was already at the top. They used to call it the Rose Bowl, right? And then you come in at the top, and it's like you looking down towards the bottom. That's an interesting concept and a very unique um out a very unique setup, to be honest with you. But I think he had a good plan, especially going bringing this religion, this faith, this way of life over here from Africa, from Egypt, from over in that land, and bringing those spiritual attributes over to this way of life and teaching people and healing people and being people need like people to believe in. Nowadays they don't have people to believe in because people are so either untrustworthy or they have their own motives. But when you have somebody that is true and ethical and straightforward and they do what they say they're gonna do, that makes a difference and it changes everyone's perspective, outcome, and outlook and life well-being.
I
What's
love it.
your thoughts?
I love it. I love it.
Give me a hot second. Guys, check my food.
There go Israel eating again.
Man, we into the good cooking time.
Yeah, we definitely cooking. We finna cook for real. We finna warm it up some more. That was good. That was a good appetizer. Israel, I definitely gonna second everything. You know what I'm saying that Israel had brought to the forefront. You know, Prophet Cicero Lewis Patterson, also King Melchizedek is the founder, you know, of the Coptic faith, like we always talk about all the time. So when you hear all these things, and we have these guests come on and people write us in, and we call them empresses and queens and prophets and prince and all of these things, he came in uh towards the 1950s. Okay, he was in Atlanta, Georgia. He wanted to start a lot of the Coptic faith down here in Atlanta, Georgia. At that moment in time, people wasn't really messing with what he was trying to bring. So that's why in my book, 369 Questions to Ask the Black Coptic Nation, I I say that, you know, he's the mind, you know, he, because of his ideology and all of the things of him being the founder of the faith here in America. Um this is the day that we're gonna forever, you know, celebrate as long as the Coptic faith is intact, because February 17th is um it's one of our national holidays, just like they have Savior's Day, and when it comes to the Nation of Islam and things of that nature, we have our Founders Day. So, um, like Israel said, his temple was on 47th and Cottage Grove. It was called the Universal Prayer House and Training School. And how, you know, it was described. I also have got these same stories from the elders of the faith. You know, they call it the Rose Bowl, and because they would come in and everything would be looking, you'll be looking down. I would have loved to see that, by the way, if I was alive during that time. But I'm definitely appreciative of that. Um, we can get into a lot of things. We can get into him finding his wife in Cincinnati, Ohio, with Queen Eve, that people don't know about as well. Like when he went to go meet and he found his wife. So a lot of things were going on. Him traveling, him being a one of those what was that, Baptist? What do they call them? Missionaries, where they go around teaching the gospel and things of that nature. That's where he started out from. You know what I'm saying? And that's where he began to try to spread the word of the I am that I am God power, and of God being black. That's why you see I got this on today. That's why I got some of it. You know what I'm
I
saying?
see, I see, I see. Let me go.
um,
Yeah, so
yeah. So we could. I'm gonna just say, like I say, his ideology and his philosophy created the nation to uplift conscious and the subconscious of the black man and woman. So if we're gonna talk about the beginnings of, you know, them being a part of a royal priesthood, or where the saying came from, is because of Prophet Cicero. He wanted us to get out of the mindset during that time of the civil rights and the segregation and all of the Jim Crow things that were going on. He wanted to make sure that we remember that we're not niggas and Negroes, but we are somebody. And I wish I was gonna be in service in Chicago, but it's okay. This is gonna be my time to talk on the podcast. But I'm gonna be forever grateful. Like I said before, we could talk about, you know, his spiritual name. His natural name was Cicero Lewis Patterson. His spiritual name was the King Melchizedek. We could talk about Melchizedek and get deeper into those things. But before we do all of that, I also want to give the Dr. Luke to get his first initial thoughts off, and if he want to go deeper into it or not.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'll do like you all did, and then like towards the end, I'll probably go in just a little deeper and throw it back y'all way. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about today. Like Solomon and Israel saying, it isn't indeed for the Coptic nation, or some will say the Coptic faith, or just our community, because that's what he was doing. He was creating a community at a time where there were a lot of masters coming. Some would say coming down. For those who know, they know. But they'll say there were a lot of masters coming down. You had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was beginning his teachings at the same time. You had Noble Drew Ali, who was beginning his teachings at the same time. You had Marcus Garvey, who had already kind of really laid a solid foundation for a lot of the 50s teachers. If you look at the way we were getting blessed with what they were called Black Messiahs, there was a time in the season for each one of them to kind of come in. Marcus Garvey really, in my eyes, was one of those ones that kind of broke through the gates as far as media is concerned. And I do believe he had a big role to play in a lot of the leaders that came after. One of those leaders would be Louis Cicero Patterson. In the 50s, this is when Chicago was the Mecca. It was the central place of Black excellence in the mentality stage, as well as Black excellence spiritually. This is where a lot of Black leaders were coming and starting their organizations in their communities. So I always found it to be honorable that, he was a man that was able to see an opportunity, because he originally started in Georgia. And I did get a chance to go down to the original building. It still sits. It's still the building still sits in a community full of nothing but houses now. It's still just that one little church. He had like a little storefront church that set, and that building is still standing to this day. But that's really where he got started. Of course, during that time in the South, it wasn't the most compromising thing to be a Black man trying to build up Black people in the South. So he had to use common sense, and he did. And he moved, and he was able to move his movement to the North, because the North was more accepting to Black excellence at the time. There wasn't as much. It was still problems for Black people, but it wasn't as dire. It wasn't as safety issues and things like that while he was trying to build. So I always was able to acknowledge the fact that him using common sense, as we always talk, faith and things like that is beautiful, but you got to have common sense. And he was able to use it in order to understand that his message would be able to go further in an environment where there were Black people who are actually more willing to come in and have a little bit more freedom to come in and learn back about themselves. So, I'm always excited about the day. I'm grateful because, to me, he by being the father of our nation, his mentality and his education was like such a big thing to me, because it wasn't just I'm charismatic and I can get a lot of people to listen to me. He was a very, very well educated man. He put money into his education. He put money into his traveling. Like Solomon was saying, he was a missionary, so he was used to traveling. And in his travels, he was able to uncover certain things that he found, that he thought to himself, like, hey, I shouldn't be the only one that know about this. Let me go back home and let me go and let my people know about what I'm finding in my missions as I'm out here and as I'm searching. You got to remember, missionaries, usually their job was to go into tribes and villages, and they would begin to teach. Well, what was happening with him was he was going into tribes and the villages was teaching him. This was the interesting thing. They were teaching him back to himself, which is something we really don't talk about a lot of times in the Coptic nation. But I believe that's where the original teachings really manifested in his life. He had to go back into the homelands, and they had to show him and say, hey, we know what you're talking about. It actually goes a little deeper than what you're trying to introduce to us. So I always found that to be very interesting, that he went in trying to teach a certain people something, and they ended up giving him tools that he was able to literally create a nation that's lasted for generations and generations. So now we here, 2025, prophets, Prince, we still kind of carrying the banner after all of the years that he's laid down. But a man of excellence is just it's an underlying word. And like I say, we were getting blessed with what we needed, because the black people in America were looking for leaders. Like Israel was saying, we were looking for people who can help us get out of the situations that we were in. So we were getting what we needed, but there's a teacher for every creature, as my father would say. So there were certain people that were homing into certain teachings. In reality, a lot of them are teaching the same thing. It
Right.
just comes in different forms. Some of it was coming in the 7%er form. Some of it was coming in the Nation of Islam form. Some of it is coming in the Coptic form. The teachings are similar. It just had different backgrounds and different ideological ways that it set its foundation. So I'm grateful that we got a piece of the pie. I mean, we could have just still been out here not knowing anything about where we come from, not understanding the beauty and the value of the Congo. Before they started making documentaries on the Congo and the Congolese people, we had already knew about them. We had already knew the original birthplace of home. So he was able to really tie us back in my eyes. And then by introducing Coptic, it's not something that is new. It's new to America.
Right.
It's not something. It is the oldest. It is the original, what they would call organized religion. Why? We talked about this in many episodes ago, when Egypt was finding itself to begin to reform its entire way of thinking spiritually. Remember, Egypt had pharaohs. So when the pharaohs would decide that worship would go a certain way, the people would have to follow. It wasn't until a certain pharaoh came and he got certain information that began to tie all of it into one. This is when the I am that I am was really introduced to the world. It started in Egypt, where it was introduced of I am that I am, the same I am that was taught to Moses, the original God, the God of the universes. But before you get to Bes, before you get to Tahuti, before you get to Amen Ra, you have to go to the I am that I am, because the I am that I am is it was the foundation of understanding that all of these different gods that we understand in their attributes still come from a source of the universe. So Egypt was blessed with that knowledge through Uncle Anten. And Uncle Anten was really the one that started to fund the Coptic religion. He started to fund it. I mean, putting money into it, putting resources into it so that people can come into Egypt and they can begin to have a solid type of spiritual aspect that align with government. When Prophet Cicero began to get this type of information, it wasn't new, but it was new to America. So I'm grateful for that, man. I'm grateful. And that's just to go in a little deep. I'll piggyback and let y'all go in a little more on it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just sharing the picture of the Pharaoh Akhenaten that you were referring to, Dr. Luke. I know some people probably don't know or didn't really see, but this is just a quick little Google search. I just wanted people to look at how to spell it. The Pharaoh is going to tell you all of the information that we already starting to kind of explain to you. And the temple and all of these things. So this how it looks.
Yeah.
Even when it
This
comes
how
to
it looks.
I feel like when it comes to Coptic religion or the Coptic way of life, people are shallow when it comes to religious um, ideologies and religions, because it's like they know the big few, whether what they say, SDA, Muslim, Catholic, Christian, but then when it goes, it's like they don't know the other ones. Where it'd be like they don't know Coptic, they don't know Judaism, or what's the other ones? Apostolic. And then you got Baptist, but it's like people only know the big name religions and things of that nature, but they know the surface. They don't know the background, or they don't know more than those few, because I feel like religion and spirituality is becoming a lost art, because I'm not gonna say it's like not as popular, but it's not as important. People don't make it as important as it used to be. And that's why it's important to have founders and leaders that know how to lead, and that have a vision, have a plan, and they go forth. And as we would say on this day, you write the vision and make it plain. You write it down, let it be known. Write your request and let it be known, right? And with that, it's like a lot of people, they just ignorant of the way of life, or they just ignorant of spirituality, because they have their own thoughts or other people's thoughts as to what spirituality is. But when it comes to leadership, having a man like Prophet Cicero, men like those are the ones that make a difference. And when you're in a position of leadership, I was just talking to one of my motorcycle buddies about some stuff, and it was like, yeah, when it comes to it was a scene that happened in the movie, and I was like, I wish more leaders was like this, where it's like they know they can't do this position forever, so they look for somebody, find some appoint the next person, the next man up. But the thing about that, 9 times out of 10, it's the ones who don't want it that are worthy of the position, and the ones who do want it for real are the ones that want it for the wrong reasons. I was like, man, that's a true statement. Because it's been times where people want the leadership role, but they're not good leaders. They want it for their own reason. And then ones that's appointed don't want the position because they know heavy is the head that wear the crown. And it's a heavy head, it's a heavy crown. And then them some big shoes to fill when you know the position, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that statement right there. There's a lot of people who want it, and then they just be wanting just cause they think it's glamorous.
For the clout.
They want the clout, they want the power. There's a lot of power that people be trying to get, and then they lose their minds. But you make a great point. I just want to make sure that when we talk about, the King Melchizedek, Prophet Cicero, we're gonna, continue to talk about him in a light for the people to understand exactly where we come from. There is a succession. This is when we're talking about Prophet, the time period of Prophet Cicero, of Noble Juali, all of these prophets that came, this was like early era of like 60, 50, you know what I'm saying? And then it goes down to the King Peter. When we talked about King Peter Day, his time and his reign was a lot of prolific time was the 80s, some 70s and 80s. And then, as we continue to go down, we have other prophets that have came and taught us. So we're like fourth generation, right?
Yeah, we like fourth generation in of leaders right now.
And so it's a lot going on. I know people want to talk about, I guess, the Melchizedek thing, and that's the priest king of the Bible. You can check out the Bible in the Old Testament. We could talk about what it means for maybe, talking about Jesus being the Messiah, but a lot of times people will associate Melchizedek being the first Messiah coming down to teach people and things of that nature. People don't even know that Jesus is also in the same priesthood of Melchizedek, and he came after. So I did want to play a quick little video. This is from what was that?
Oh, the proclamation. Let me try to fix
Oh,
this
okay.
up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Hold on,
was
wait.
saying
Let me
with
put you up.
the. Can you see it right? Because I got my screen acting funny. But I was saying having. Does it show up? You ever hold up? I'm having technically difficulties
But
with
we
my
see it.
screen.
We say it's Universal Prayer House, the proclamation of Prophet Cicero. Yeah, there you go. It got the address on it and everything.
Yeah, so being able to have a proclamation, and a proclamation is basically a document of great importance. And having this proclamation that the Prophet Cicero made about his journey, right? About when he was over there in Ethiopia and what he saw. No, I ain't gonna give out too much because this is one of those pieces. The proclamation is
Give out a
something
little
that you
bit.
should have.
Go ahead.
It's something that you should have. But basically talking about the shadows on the sun. You know, like where they got the theory from and where he kind of he was going up. He had his thoughts and he began asking questions, and the more questions that he got, the more answers he got. And I don't know how deep I want to go into this. I'm just gonna scratch the surface. Yeah, I ain't gonna say too much on that. But yeah, this is one of those pieces that you should have if you copped it. A proclamation of Prophet Cicero. I'm gonna come back to this real quick while I look this over.
Yeah, all right, cool. I don't know. I think Solomon dropped off real quick. There you go. He back.
Oh, there we go.
No, I'm right here. I just had to go get. I had to go get mine too.
Yours look different.
Yeah, because but you know, I had to go get a little bit of it. Yeah, I wanted to say a little bit. We are here to inform y'all, okay? We are here to inform y'all just a little bit of where we from spiritually. Like I say, today's episode is really just about some more of our Coptic roots and who y'all listening to. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Where we come from. Because I know that a lot of people don't know about the Coptic faith. I met somebody today who is also from Chicago, and they don't never know who we are. They just say, "Oh, the people with the robes," and they don't know what to call it. They just start putting their hand around their head. I'm like, we call them crowns. We call them crowns. Call them crowns. So yeah, I went to go get the proclamation too. And some of the things that he has said on here. And his proclamation, you told him the title of the proclamation, right? So the title is called "Here Comes the Shadow on the Sun." And I'm only going to read one sentence. Anything else you would like to know, you're going to have to come visit Chicago. But we got some people down here in Atlanta too you can come kick it with.
Yeah. I'm going to get you some info.
But it says, and I'm just going to read just this little part here. Here comes the shadows on the sun. What is their theory of what they do? Do they have more than one? Are they planning a wider sphere of commerce for the children of the sun god Amen Ra? And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, boy.
I'll leave it at that. We got the info. We got the info. Come check out. Come talk to one of the prophets. We got the info for you. But you brought up a point, Israel, that I definitely want to talk about, and that was, people in leadership being scared or wanting leadership in the wrong reasons and stuff like that, right? So we have people who believe that they can do, and I don't want to discourage anybody from believing that they can do certain things in leadership, but everything happens for a time in a season and for a reason.
Okay? I'm finna speak some truth. Go ahead.
It's a time and season and for a reason. You don't want these problems of trying to deal with God's people. You gotta first know in leadership, everybody's not going to agree with what you say.
My Lord, talk about it.
They are not going to agree with everything that you say. Another thing is that you're gonna invest in some people, and they're going to leave, and you have to be okay with that. Luke and I talked about this, I think, like the other day, of like, just
What y'all talking
because
about?
you can prepare yourself, you can prepare yourself to knowing that some things that happen in leadership will happen, but that don't mean it's gonna less likely to hurt. It's still gonna have some effect on you.
Oh
So do
man.
you have the mental fortitude and solitude to go through some stuff, even when you're investing in people and trying to help them? You're trying to do God's work, God's will, right, for his people. If you're trying to assist and be a great spiritual guide, you have to know that some people, they're not going to be around. They're going to come, get certain things from you, and then they're going to move on.
Be like the
So
40-year journey. Was it 40 year for you? 40 year.
which saying you talking about?
Come on, the 40-year journey of walking through the wilderness. Let me know
Hey,
if I
yeah,
got the numbers wrong. It was 40 years.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, 40,
Yeah.
yep.
Everybody that started wasn't everybody that went through.
Nope.
Whole lot of generations that came and gone.
Yeah.
But we got to do better as a people because there's certain protocols that should be followed. You know, being of a different organization, you see how things should be. Where you take bits and pieces where it's like I see this here would implement great here, or what I don't have there, and it's like some people don't follow by those rules, right? So even in the church scene, the religious scene, the spiritual scene, people don't follow by those rules, and we got to do better. Got to do better, and that's like even when it comes to building or starting a new church, there should be certain protocols. Because if we gonna be real, if we gonna be bringing truth here, right? Because to be Coptic, to be a Copt, COPT, is to be a truth seeker, right? I'm seeking truth. I see truth. I'm gonna speak the truth. So if we speak in truth here, there has been a plethora of churches or temples that has started, in my opinion, not the best way, the wrong way. If we go with the trend is you get mad, you get angry, and you go start your own church. And then boom, you got another church. And you could have stayed where you was at. Or you could have grew where you was at, or just took a break. But that's the trend. Because if we start naming names, I could at least 10. Well, it started like that. Somebody got angry, they got mad, and they went starting their own church. But in other organizations, there's protocol where it's like, yo, I get this amount of people. We could go start our own thing over here. We still a part of everybody, but we got our own situation right here. And it's what you call getting blessed in. You got to get blessed in. That would be the proper way to be blessed in and acknowledge, okay, you are no longer a part of us, but you still a part of us, but you got your own us over there,
Yeah,
right?
you got to receive that
Right.
oil.
Yes, you got to get blessed in. People just be blessing themselves these days, naming themselves and all the other stuff. I mean, excuse me, but it's certain ways that you should do things, certain ways that things should be done that are not. And even when it goes back to that leadership conversation, there should be times when people need to know when to step down. Because at certain times you do get too old. People look for retirement, and at certain times it's like, okay, I could serve, die in the army of the Lord, but the Lord, I'm sure He want me to live. I'm sure He don't want me to die in this position. Because there's even times in the Bible where He has raised their next man up, right? You got what? Saul, David, right? And when one eases on out because of what the sin or whatever, it's that time. It's time for the change in power. Like if we was to do this right, there should be like a change in power service where we like, yo, we changing it from these hands to those hands to be acknowledged. That's my 2 cents. That's my my 58 cents, my 69 cent, my 17 cent on this great day. This
Luke
Founders
look
Day
like
here.
Luke looking patient, like he finna go in.
Nah, I'm just listening. Nah, I'm listening. I'm enjoying.
I'm just saying.
I'm enjoying y'all breaking it down. Now, I was gonna hit on a few points y'all said. And I'll go back. I tie it back into the leadership. I remember Solomon, you had brought up even just his name. We got a lot of viewers. Some people know, some people don't. So we'll kind of just break it down real quick. So his name is Louis Cicero Patterson. He was given the name Melchizedek by his followers or the people who had seen him really worthy of that title. And I've taken time out before to break it down to the people around me, people who go to the temple I go to about that name and the symbolic meaning of the name Melzadok. Remember when we were saying he was a missionary. So when you're a missionary, you're doing a lot of traveling. You're meeting a lot of
Traveling
different
shoes,
cultures.
Lord.
Yes, you got on them traveling shoes. So I always found it interesting that he was given the name Melchizedek, because if you look at the story of Melchizedek and even past the story of the Bible, the name
Yeah, they thought
Melchizedek,
he was Jesus.
they thought he was. But this is the thing about the name. The name is so deep because it ties into the Egyptian culture and it also ties into the Sumerian culture. And Zadok, or the traveler, as that would be known as, came in many different names and many different forms. In some cultures, this same entity or spirit could be related to, like if you was in the Egyptian culture, they would relate that same spirit to Tahuti, because Tahuti was a builder. He was one with much knowledge, known like God-like powers, right? So with Melchizedek, like Solomon had hinted, Melchizedek, it's an actual order. It's not really nothing too like outstandishly known. That ain't that deep no more. Okay, don't get mad at me that I said it that way, y'all, because you know they hate when I say it. When I say it that way, I mean it ain't nothing that we can't say on the podcast for the people to know. That's an actual order. It's a very well-known order. You can look it up on Google and you can
Let's
get
go.
all the information you want to know about the order of Melchizedek. However, the order of Melchizedek can be represented in many different ways and in many different cultures. Why? Because that's usually the birthplace of the spiritual righteousness. So when Solomon was hinting to the fact that in the Bible, you see that Jesus also had to go through the order, the reason it was necessary for him to do that, remember, he had left for Jesus left for a while at the age of 12 after his bar mitzvah, because he had a bar mitzvah. That was the culture that they were in. He had a bar mitzvah. He left and he ended up getting sent, and he had to start doing his studying. So the one place that everyone knew to go when you wanted to learn spiritual knowledge was Egypt. That was the place you go. When you're trying to become the top scholar spiritually, you know how the people send their children to other places to go to university. Egypt was like that. Egypt would have been what we know now as modern America. Freedom. It was freedom. It was education. It was culture. It was science being taught. It was agriculture being taught. It was finance being taught. So this order was something that was very necessary for the culture, because the order was in charge of keeping what they would say as the secrets, the sacred knowledge. The order of Melchizedek was in charge of protecting that knowledge and protecting those ancient secrets. So I always found it interesting that they gave him that name, because if you looked at how he played his role in America, now mind you, this is thousands of years ago we're talking about. But if we fast forward to his time in the 50s, he was able to mirror the same job, being able to take certain what some people would say secrets or knowledge, and being able to give it back to the people who originally had it in the first place, because everything had been stolen from us, including our names and our tongue. Most of us didn't know who we were outside of the plantation that we came off of. So everyone wasn't privileged to be able to go and travel like he did. So he made it his mission to be able to get the information and bring it back to the people. That's why I always felt like he's worthy of being crowned that name. Not because of it sounds cool. Like, he actually did the work of the order. He kept the secrets and he gave it back to the people who needed to know it so that they can live on. And they'll be able to thrive in this new Egypt that we live in. That's all America is. It's the reformed version of Egypt. You go into the courthouse, you see the feathers of Ma'at right over. You go into any government building, you're going to see Ma'at over any government building. You go to Washington D.C., you're gonna see all of our statues. They put all that stuff. That stuff is just important to America. I almost feel like it's more important to them than it is black people nowadays, because they know it works. They know the science of Egypt. They know the spirituality of Egypt is not something that you play with, because it is a proven form factionality to get stuff done. Writing it down and making it plain is nothing. That's just the saying to say practice your black spirituality. Our spirituality actually works. Like, it's a real thing. And even if you look at it, how certain cultures was given it, like how Melchizedek was able to take a portion, right? You look at the Native Americans. The Native Americans got their portion of that type of black spirituality from the Olmecs. The Olmecs, which kind of resemble Prophet Cicero a little bit, they had them round face, dark skin, round face people that came into Americas, the original ones that came in. They were bringing in a lot of these sciences. This is how the Native Americans started learning about all of the sciences, like the rain dance, the war dance. And white folks knew it was real because they started making it illegal, because it
Yeah,
actually works.
it gotta be
What they
something if you're
did
making
though
it
was,
illegal.
right, this is why having a leader is so important, or having a spiritual base is so important. Because what they did was they then took Hollywood, they took all of these forms of media, they made movies and TV shows off of our original science. Why? Because it makes it look less real. It becomes more of a fantasy. The whole time they're still using it. They're still having certain ceremonies that we at one point had, like processions. Now, in our way of life, we have processions every week. We've been doing it for how many years now? Over 50 years. We have processions every week where we're marching with the same type of mindset. But America was built off of the spirituality of what Egypt and the Coptic nation built, because it aligned with being able to build a nation. When you're trying to build a government, when you're trying to build a powerhouse, you have to keep people spiritual, because if you don't, they'll just get too worldly minded, and then all things is no longer righteous. This is why I said Uncle Anton had to make sure he put money into the Coptic nation, because it kept Egypt balanced. It kept them not just
Mayans.
only caring about the gold, but also caring about the spiritual side of it as well. There's a job that they had, and the Coptic church was required to keep it. So I'll end it with this, and then I'll pass it back over to y'all, because Solomon said, he said, even Jesus was brought into the order. Well, let's remember, not only was he brought into the order, but he was sent into Egypt, and he learned, and he was able to go through the schools. And who did they trust to keep him when he went into Egypt? The Coptic church. The Coptic church is responsible for watching over Jesus. You can go into Egypt right now. You know how they do the tours and everything. They'll show you in the Coptic church where he had his own bed, and he had this and he had that. Yeah, they was in charge of making sure that the Messiah, because if he ain't stay good, he was vulnerable to anybody. They knew he was an important person. So this is why, like Solomon saying, we take our way of life so serious, because the job that's been given to us in 2025 is no different than the job that was given to us thousands of years ago. We hold a certain level of responsibility in the spiritual world. And like you say, I mean, I'm just grateful we had somebody that wasn't scared. One, he wasn't scared. He was like, hey, y'all can kill me, y'all can sue me, whatever. I'm gonna tell these black people that they not slaves, they ain't just Negroes. They literally come from royalty. They got royal blood, such powerful royal blood that they started taking blood from us in order to make their own vaccines. But then we remember vaccines came from where? Egypt. Medicine, Egypt, all that stuff came from our way of life. So I appreciate him, because he was able to tie us in and let us know you still a part of this American picture, the picture of wealth. That's why they say we want to live and not just survive. We want the nice stuff too. We want the comfortable lifestyle as well. So he was able to tie it in for us as Black American Negroes in America. Like, this wasn't for everybody. This was for a certain group of people. And I'm just grateful for that. Because like Solomon say, I don't really even know where I would be without having mindset of like, I am greater than just somebody with a social security number walking around. Like, no, there's so much more that I can attribute because of my nation and my culture that I've come to learn, that I'm able to actually live and not just survive out here. So that's my little 3 cents on that.
Yeah, I wanted to say there, and there's also only a few number of prophets who actually wrote things down. So I'm glad that Israel had also brought out the proclamation as well, because not all leaders have that. They should, but all of them don't. And I just want to read a little bit of some of the things I wrote. And I say, what is Coptic? And I got the answer of, Coptic is a language. People forget that too. Okay. Coptic is also a language, which represents the final stage of ancient Egyptian metaneter. Metaneter is the Egyptian hieroglyphs writing style found on the walls of the pyramids of Giza, tombs, stones, pottery, vessels, and clay. All right. I just wanted to make sure that people also knew that that is also a language. They spoke this. Okay.
Still speaking.
It's,
Still speaking.
they still
Today.
speak it. So, like how you say, when we go over there talking about Africa and where exactly did Prophet Cicero go, we can start by Ethiopia, because the flag behind me, okay, is a Rastafarian flag, but we also, in the middle of that, is the Lion of Judah. Okay, this flag came from the Emperor Haile Selassie. All right, we got this type of flag from over in Africa. So for the people who wants to continue to know, this episode this might turn into my favorite episode of the year already. This episode is for y'all to understand exactly where we coming from, because I know people are still confused. And once they hear this episode of the podcast, hopefully that gives more people to come ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the original so-called before Christianity, what formed into the oldest, what was the oldest religion. Where do you go to get these things? This is like how they be wanting to have certain spiritual organizations, and they be wanting to have, well, where is this and where is that? We can actually tell you where's the oldest Bible. Okay, it's this place called Cairo, Egypt. Where's the Coptic church? We telling you exactly where to go. What people don't tell you is that Ethiopia is older than Egypt, actually. But they all won. Back then, it was Upper and Lower Egypt, or Kemet. Them was the neighboring states, as they would say. So if you really want to get into some old African spirituality that's not of Ghana, that stuff that's older than Ghana, or the territories that was before a lot of colonization, go to Egypt and Ethiopia. Like Luke was saying about the whole teachings of where Jesus was getting his knowledge from, things of that nature. The name of Melchizedek, breaking it down, like I had already said, it is in order. This is why we are called, the Coptic faith, atom, after the order of Melchizedek. It's a real thing. This is when you go back and do your homework and your history, you understand exactly where we're coming from and what we're talking about and why we're saying the things that we're saying. Spirituality is real. I wanted to get into just a small little clip. Well, not it's a voice recording of Queen Rebecca talking about Prophet Cicero. Okay, so let me play that just from I got this from off of another YouTube channel, the New Heaven Coptic Temple. I'm gonna just play a little bit.
I'm so grateful for our man came here. That great Jesus didn't leave us alone. You will transform from one degree to another. And I'm grateful for this day that we come to let the Spirit know that we are very appreciative. You that have a mind tonight, hold on. You that is seeking, you must find what you're looking for. But you must know what you want out of life. But you will continue to blow through life without knowing facts and truth. I'm grateful for prophets, how that many times powers and spirits still live. The prophet that I was trying to call the name that was a great prophet, Prophet Cicero, was a great movement. But you don't hear nobody talking about that too much. We must talk about the great prophets, Cicero, Ethiopia, and had a great Coptic church there. Go down to the library, you'll find hymns on how Cicero was run. You can buy and see. They wore the same garments that you're wearing today, the same crown. And the prophet Cicero, no other than Melchizedek, they was all together, trying to bring up the black peoples out of a grave condition. Right now, I'm not going to, I believe that Prophet Isaiah was at the temple when I first found okay, Jesus. And 4724 Cottage Road. And I'm a living witness that it is real. And he come back to open the grave for black men and black women. But sometimes I feel that my people, that black people want to be somebody. It seems like sometimes it's very hard to get the truth over to black people. It seems like they have a problem. Standing still. And I believe God said, stand still and know that I'm God. He said, I'm out. We don't fight your enemies. We teach black history. We teach you common sense about yourself. But the more we teach you about you, you don't seem to care. But we're going to keep teaching. Because we have a commandment. Let Jesus come to the state in 1941, teaching black men and black women. He was known as Cicero Pharaohs. Later on, his name was changed, and God elevated him down to time. He was changed to Melchizedek, the king of Salem, the priest of the Most High God. He was a man amongst men. He come along with the great prophet Mohammed, and many more of the great prophets, prophet name that I can't call at this moment.
Yeah, shout out to Queen Mother Rebecca.
Y'all want to see some more of that? Just go on to New Heaven Coptic Temple YouTube page, and it's the video is titled After the Order of Melchizedek.
Yeah, shout out to the Queen. Hey, real quick before you go in, I just wanted to comment on something she said too at the end. She said, King of Salem, priest of the Most High God. And nowadays, y'all know how we always hear people talk about the Most High, the Most High. This is why I say you know that all of these religions come from the Coptic one, because our job was to find a way to incorporate
the gods that we had. It wasn't that they were attributes. Of course, in America, they taught us all their gods. That's what the Egyptians thought. No, they were attributes to certain ways and principalities of life. So there was a fertility god. There were the god give. You know, there were different things. There were different ways, and we used these ways in order to teach. This is why we were the best teachers. We understood how to turn things like simple lion's head and the hippo and the alligator. We learned how to turn them into ways to be able to teach people. So when she said high priest of the most high God, this is where I said it was a necessity because Egypt had dealt with so much turmoil from Pharaoh to Pharaoh about really religion. It was a lot of problems going on. Even when Uncle Anton tried to come in, they wasn't feeling it. They was like, "What you mean? There's a God over Amen Ra? What you mean? Your daddy didn't say that. Your daddy said this. He said, I understand what my daddy said, but I'm trying to introduce y'all into the Most High, the one that is in control of all universes." And I found that to like just be so amazing that she was able to point that out. But I always wanted to make that point. I always thought that's why they said priest of the most high God. Because it literally means like the I am that I am. There is no higher. You can't you can't take nothing away from that, and you can't add nothing to I am that I am. If you break that phrase down alone, you can't take nothing away. That's the universe. Nothing is created, nothing is destroyed. Things exist. It just is. And he was able to like literally bring that back into our way of life. That to me is just awesome, bro. That was awesome. She just gave me a little goosebumps a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, if you guys want to listen to the whole thing, just go online and it's on YouTube. Shout out to Prophet Hiram. He is the one who uploaded that video of Queen Rebecca talking about the Prophet Cicero, as she was going through what we already had just said, of him being Cicero Patterson and them changing his name to Melchizedek and things of that nature. So definitely check out. This is a good Coptic history episode. I really like this one. This might really think
Yeah,
but
yeah, we gotta put on more for our people. Our people gotta get together more
yeah,
often, or at least get together and spread the knowledge, the wisdom, and information. And
yeah. Well, it was something else I wanted to get into real quick. This is just me on my own thing talking about this whole day and leadership and things of that nature when it comes to the Coptic faith. We forgot the mission, I believe, the mission statement of what Prophet Cicero wanted, outside of saying you are a prophet and you are a queen and you are a king and all of you are part of a royal priesthood. There's a saying that is always said of building a nation. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying the exact one, but this is what I'm paraphrasing for the podcast. In order the nation build, you have to have multiple things. Nations sustain itself. And when they do work with other countries, it's always like a type of a trade. Now pay attention to what's going on right now with the whole tariffs and President Trump. Everybody is saying, "Oh, he's kicking out so many different people and all that stuff coming here legally and all of these things." He's trying to build a more. He wants us so-called great again, right? So build a self-sustaining nation where then we don't have to have so many international or the so-called problems when it comes to other nations and what they do.
So you don't get fat and lazy.
When you don't try
that
to
part.
build for your own, then you have now become at the mercy of another individual who is more maybe self-sustained than you are. And as you can see the history, now this is stuff you can watch on the History Channel. When Egypt decided to continue to give, borrow, trade, whatever words you want to use with other outside countries or ethnicities or whatever you want to say, this is when they believed they could rule Egypt themselves. This is all of the hostile takeovers, all of the invaders, and all of these things that came throughout history to dilute the blood, dilute the kingdom, and have all of these different periods where Egypt was rising and falling. I said that to say, do not forget the mission that Prophet Cicero had gave to the Coptic nation. Continue to build and strengthen yourself, and the only way you do that is together. It's not about churches, it's about
Mm.
nations. I want to add that because I was thinking about that when we was talking about leadership. When we was talking about leadership, I just want to think about, I thought about that as we were talking.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Shoot, man. You said it right then and there. The nation building is a big thing. Um, Real quick, I'm gonna let Israel go in. You said you just said it when Egypt let the people come in. If y'all remember, when we was in school, they talked about it a little bit. How the pyramids used to be like very like they had marble on top actually, and it used to be a center gold stone that was on top. And this is why I say Prophet Cicero is just his level of responsibility. You got to be responsible when you give people information. You can't just tell people that they're kings and queens and empresses, and then they just go thinking that it's all good and dandy, but not telling them the mistakes that the ones that came before them did. And he warned us of those mistakes. Like Solomon said, the people got lazy. They began to contract out. That's what it was. It was a lot of contracting out, meaning I have so much money now, even though I know how to do it. I'm gonna pay you to do what I could do myself. Now, when you scale in a business, which Kemet was, it was a business. It started out as an agricultural business. This is how Kemet went into wealth. They started out being the master one. They were good when it came to the Nile Valley. The Nile Valley gave them everything that they needed in order to be able to do trade with other parts of Africa. So this is why they had kind of like that advantage. It was like location, location, location. Being on the Nile is the best location you could be on in Africa because why? The Nile is flowing with everything you need. You got minerals, you got fish. You have to learn how to tilt and grow the land. So when Kemet was first getting started, like any business, it only had a few customers. What we start seeing in school is after generations and generations of good business is done. So now you big, now you're dealing with a multi-billion dollar business. And what we see a lot of times, and Solomon pointed it out, even what we're seeing now, America has become that multi-billion dollar business. And I personally feel it's the same thing. It's about being able to manage what we are able to do for ourselves so that we don't give out too much business to other people and they end up taking over what we
Mm-hmm.
originally could do for ourselves. So I
Slowly
like I
but
said,
surely.
yeah, and that's why I say I feel he was responsible. He didn't just say, "Hey, this is who y'all are. Go run." No, he was like, "Look, it's gonna take a lot of accountability. You're gonna have to be responsible. You're gonna have to manage. You're gonna have to learn how to build." And like Solomon said, the mission has been forgotten a lot because it wasn't just about building temples. We talking about hospitals. We talking about daycare centers. We're talking about things for our people
That's
that
what
you
we
can
should be
that,
on.
that's what we need. And then when we are able to give these community type of benefits to people, they're going to see the advantage of our spirituality. Like, no, we're not just sitting there praying. We're praying and then we're getting up and picking up the hammer, picking up the saw, picking up the book. We're supposed to have people in law enforcement. We're supposed to have people who are lawyers. We're supposed to have people in the judicial system. We're supposed to have teachers. He wanted to create a nation within a nation, not to so much overthrow the nation that we in, because it's not necessary. We don't have to do all of that. It was in order to be able to get the full benefit of the package, the full benefit of what quote unquote America had to offer. Because we already here. Most of us can't leave if we really wanted to. So I liked him because as a man, you have to take accountability and say, I gotta reach the people where they at. I can't expect everybody to get on a plane and go back to Africa. That was Marcus Garvey's mission. He was supposed to do that for the people. It was every leader had a mission for all of these black people stuck in America. Every single one of them. And then depending on what you needed would determine which leader that you would home towards. So that was just kind of like my little end closing statement on that. I like that what you said, Solomon, when it came to that. He ain't just have us out here just thinking that it's all willy nilly and dandy just because we wear robes and crowns and we got on the Beretta and we know this, that, and the third and we smart. No, we talking about queens and prophets that had their own businesses in Chicago, were employing other people, were employing people at the church. And even with Prophet Cicero, he was able to pass the mantle down to Prophet Peter, who really capitalized off of it, off the mission, and created even more jobs, more opportunities. We had an episode where we talked about it, grocery stores, and I mean, it building a nation is such a lifelong type of journey job because everything that you're doing is invested into people. So I appreciate him for that. He, to me, it's what makes me want to be a very wealthy young man. Not because I want the nice stuff, because I want to be effective to the people who I say that I love. And I know in America, the only way you can be effective, no matter how much we like it, is the money. So Prophet
Hallelujah.
Cicero wasn't no broke man. That was a millionaire we talking about. A
Oh,
millionaire back in the 50s, which is a whole nother type of wealthy.
right. You got to be somebody to be able to sneak in highly Selassie
Yeah. Look,
without the nation
Solomon
knowing.
throwing that
Trying to
plug.
tell you.
I had to go
Building
get it. I
nation
had to go get it.
building
Nation building
101.
101.
Man, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what we should be on. Nation building, building each other up. Building the churches and temples is cool, but outside of that, it's like, what are you really building for the people? Are you building some type of organization that helps give to the people? Like Love Lifted Me, right? 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 Something like that. Something outside of the church. Like, what are you doing for your community? What are you doing for your people? What are you doing to better life and live more abundantly? Cause we ain't here to be broke. I ain't saying you gotta be the richest man, but I ain't saying you ain't gotta be the poorest man. But what I am saying is a saying that I've heard over the years, right? You can build, but mind how you build. Build, but mind how you build. You got to build on a solid foundation. You got to take mind how you build. Some people
Yeah.
ain't taking mind how they building. They just building, and it's crumbling. But they thought it was easy because they was looking, but they missed some steps. So build, but mind how you build.
Right.
I'm gonna
Make it
just read
solid.
a little bit from
Go
just
ahead,
read a
read,
little bit
reader.
from
Go ahead and read.
Nation Building 101 Black Coptic Edition. Okay. I'm just reading just this little bit, right? I said
What page you on, King?
I'm on
Let
page. Well, oh, you got that
me
book too.
grab
Hold
my butt.
on.
Hold on. Let me grab my butt.
Hold on, I'm
I,
fixing
I
that
got
out.
you.
My book is in Atlanta, bro. My book
Uh,
is
hold on.
ready.
Let me run back over here. Boom. Where we at? Where
All
we
right,
at?
I'm right after. I'm on the second page after the introduction.
All right,
So
I see.
right next to the things you need to create a real nation.
Let's see.
It's
Was
the
it
it's like
still
the
chapter
it's like
one?
the huh?
You on chapter one?
No, I'm
Okay, no,
before
no,
I
no.
even get to
Okay,
the
I see it.
chapter.
I see it. Things you need to create a real nation. Go ahead. I'm reading with
Okay, so you need your own land and property. You need an economic system, which is currency, money. You need employment opportunities. You need to, like we say, scale your business. You need to employ your people. You need houses, homes, shelter. You need hospitals and medicine, which is the vaccines we talked about. You need to learn how to farm, have a farm, or know things about agriculture. different businesses, such as grocery stores, natural resources, clean water, a government type of a structure where it has you can put the people in a place of real civilization and not in a chaotic anarchy type of society. Okay. Political power. Are you represented at the United Nations summit? That's what make you a real nation. Remember that from Wakanda and Black Panther. Your own language. There are people who teach new languages. You can create your own language. English is a new language. What we're talking to you right now, how we're communicating, it's one of the newest languages. Is actually, I think, is the last language to be created.
Language. That's the youngest language.
The youngest one. Your own clothing, your own temples and spiritual concept, your own code of conduct, your own military / security. You have to control your own music, what you're listening to. Remember, I keep telling people you cannot unhear or unsee anything. Everything is downloaded into your subconscious. You can forget. Consciously, you can forget, but it's there. Already downloaded.
Need that trigger. Just like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Families, marriage, and reproduction. You gotta have the people to have a nation. But I wanted to read this little bit. It says, what does not matter is what kind of car you drive, how much jewelry you have on, nor how flashy you can be. You can control what you control, own, produce, and distribute is what really truly makes you a nation. You have to work for the culture that you want and be the change that you want to see.
Amen.
I must warn you, though, that this journey will be one of the biggest tests of your life. When Black people actually succeeded in having their own, they were attacked. Every time they band together, someone else burned it down. So let's learn from the elders who came before us. When it comes to the Black Wall Street of Tulsa, Oklahoma, May 31st, 1921. Chicago race riots of July 27, 1919. The East St. Louis massacre of May 28th. And July 1st through the 3rd, 1917. The church bombings of Birmingham, Alabama, September 15th of 1963. And Charleston, South Carolina of June 17th of 2015. These are just to name a few. So I just wanted to let y'all know that nation building ain't easy. It ain't sweet. There's no easy road to building a nation. And once we understand that, it will let us know to humble ourselves and try to work together. But that was it. That's all I want to say. Anything else y'all want to say?
Nah, that's all. That's all I got. It's just I'm just ready for the greatness,
Bro,
for what is, what was, what will be. It's on the way.
Hey, I agree with Israel on that. Every day I get up, I'm grateful because I know what I'm going towards. I do want the nice stuff. I want to live in abundance, but I know the reasons why, and I know that without hard work, I'm not gonna get what I really need in life to be able to survive. So that's why I say I'm grateful for the teachings, because one thing all three of us can say is we have no excuse. We have no excuse for greatness because we're getting what we need, and we're able now what we doing as podcasters, we're taking it to the next level. Because I personally believe if Prophet Cicero was here, there would be a crypto Coptic coin dealing with that type of man.
There we go.
He
We gotta
would have
figure
been,
that out.
yeah, he would have been doing crypto. Prophet Cicero would have been like, we finna make our own crypto coin. Like, that's why I get so excited, because I feel like, we just kind of now we just be going with the flow. But who we come from, these men were they were go-getters. They didn't
I'm gonna
care
have to
how
get my
crazy you
book.
thought they
Write
were
that down.
or how out of time or whatever. Like they was just like, so what? They didn't care. So I know I'm trying to pick up that mindset as well, like just being bold about what I'm doing, going in with a plan. So that's why I say I'm excited about service tonight. I wish my brothers could be here, but you know, they got
Yeah.
everybody got their missions right now. Right now, they out there handling a whole another mission in the south. So I'm gonna hold it down for them up here.
Amen.
Yeah. I'm mad. I was definitely supposed to be up there, but it's cool. Like I say, I just want to keep on spreading the information about our founder, about Prophet Cicero, King Melchizedek. Yeah, we name drop on this channel. We ain't scared to talk about where we come from. We got the
But
patriotism. You know what I'm saying? We got the pride. We got the courage. You know what I'm saying? All the attributes that we talk about
Amen.
every single week when it comes to the occupying of another man. But now we going into the having born mood and feeling.
well,
This is the day. See, people be trying to figure out, well, what day start what? See, y'all need to understand. Y'all need to pay attention in class. When we first start class, the first of the year, that's occupying of another mind. When it's Cicero Day, we going into the having born mood for it's time to go up.
oh, bro, I'm
It's
excited.
time
I'm
to
an
go
old
up now.
cat. Oh
It's
man,
time to go up. That's why, man, they lucky I ain't in Chicago this week because I definitely would have been. They would have said, Prophet Solomon, you got something to say? Yes, I do. Let's talk about
Yes,
Prophet
Lord.
Cicero.
Amen.
Let's
We
talk
finna
about
turn
our
it up.
founder. Let's talk about how proud we are. Let's talk about it because this is something that we continuously talk about every year, right? So the enthusiasm in us being spiritual people, we should have we should feel excited.
excited, yeah.
This is a holiday. What y'all do on holidays? Don't y'all go party and
We
gather together,
celebrate.
eat together? Y'all celebrate. All right, this is the day y'all supposed to get together and celebrate. Don't let these people, these names and these spirits just go by like it's just another day. It's not just another day.
Right.
Got Queen Capitan Day coming up. We got Queen Shifra, her day coming up. We got people that we
We
need to
gotta get this
continuously
calendar.
celebrate and talk about.
Yep. Got to keep their names alive. That's how we work in our way of life.
You know how to keep somebody alive? You gotta say their name. You gotta always keep talking about them. That's how you keep somebody alive. Know how to
Absolutely.
stay young? You gotta stay around young folks. That's what the old folks tell me. They say you want to stay young, you gotta stay around the young folks. Tenfold.
All right, fellas. So what y'all want to do now? We can close it off on this because I think this was a great solid episode about Founders Day. Did y'all want to do my question for the Ask the Pharaohs, or you want to save it for next week?
We're gonna save it for next week because Luke
Yeah.
got somewhere to be,
Yeah, I got to
and
go down
I
and get
wish
ready.
somebody had it on record or something on live. I could see it on, but I guess I don't know. I got to see if my people doing something, but I ain't heard none.
Yeah, I really wasn't sure either, Israel. I wasn't sure if they was coming over here with us or what this evening. I'm not sure
Mm,
if we gonna have people, so I'm gonna see myself. But yeah, I definitely got to get down there. Got to get the temple ready. Make sure everything good for when the people start arriving.
All right, cool. All right, family. Thank you for joining us for episode 39 of the Pharaohs Podcast. I'm your host, Solomon. You can find me on Facebook at Cornelius Solomon Walker. You can find me on Instagram at CJ Walker 103. And if you want to get your book published or write a book or anything like that, you can email me at cwalker1582 at gmail.com. Israel, where can people find you?
People can find me at my email, johnatl61 at gmail.com, or you can find me on my website, jonathanjohnson61.com, or you can find me at the Pharaohs Podcast. Yes.
Hey, and Luke, where can people find you?
Y'all know y'all can find me at Luke733 lead the number 9 at gmail.com. Or like they said, you can also find me on the Pharaohs Podcast at gmail.com. Send us some love. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Just tell the world, tell the world about what you're enjoying and then see if somebody else might like it.
Oh yeah, talking about telling the world. We really telling the world, okay?
Oh, bro,
We got
making
people from everywhere. Hey, you know what I want to say? You know what? It's time for me to start standing on business on this podcast, okay?
Oh,
How many of y'all Coptic people out here, y'all up here knowing these ATL people? See, I'm networking out here with these Atlanta people. I'm telling these people about the Coptic faith. What y'all doing up there in Chicago? Talking to
hey
each other?
man,
Y'all
I'm
talking to
trying to
each
tell
other?
you,
I'm
they
up here
need to
telling the
venture out
world
in
about this, right?
Indiana.
Ain't that what the song say? Tell the world.
Tell the world about this.
Hey, fellas, we doing
And
it.
they
We
The
reach,
and they
world
listening to us
about
on
this.
exactly.
Spotify too.
We reaching people all over the country, bro.
Yeah.
We make
Yeah.
this. I'm hoping 50, 60 years down the line, all these young prince and these young men we got, or these young princess, when they start doing their podcasts and they start getting into media again, because we know media is necessary. You need media in order to spread your message. So
Yep.
I'm just grateful. Us three, we got, like he said, we got
Yeah.
the courage. We ain't scared. We ain't
Ain't
scared.
scared
I
or
love my
ashamed
way
of
of life.
what our way
But
of life.
facts.
That's why
Yes.
I got the flag every
Absolutely.
episode in the back.
I need to get me a flag. What size is that? I'm gonna figure out where to get me
I'm
one.
gonna send you the link. I got it off Amazon.
All right, cool.
All right, family. Thank you. Peace.
Peace.
Peace. A-Town down.